and it was really obvious when it wasn't there. Like the energy was so much different in the in-betweens than it was at the very end. Like, yeah. Like, it's kind of hard to put it into exact words, but your demeanor stayed in this very tight, nervous energy all of the time she tried to give it to you until the last one where she gave it to you, and you just released. It was
Like those beamers?
Yeah, your beamers.
So the beamers were obvious and that made it clear. That sign off became really clear. Yeah. And that, like you said, that energy is like, oh, right? That's what you're looking for. That's when you'll know. Sometimes they'll sign off. They'll say, yeah, but you didn't get that, yeah, right? What else did you notice?
I think I noticed that stating the feeling in and of itself wasn't a big piece. It was getting to, okay, moving to that next step.
Right, that beginning part is just acknowledging where she is and why. It's when you move to that goal, that's the hope for the future, right? I mean, this is where you are, this is why, it's acknowledged. And then that goal, it just puts this big place of, oh, yes, it's hope for the future, right? That's what you're offering the coaching when you face that.
So one thing about, I was telling Julia that the word, I heard anxious and overwhelmed. And so I said, well, let me just wrap that up into stressed. And she added more. Generally when people add more, I'll redo it. But what she added was just confirming that stressed was the right word. And that's what she said when she heard that word. It was like, I hadn't even been thinking about that, and that was the word. Yes, stressed, I was stressed. So that's why I was like, okay, that's a strong sign off, because she was just, it was almost like she was talking through like, yes, that was it. That is, it's stressed, yes.
And then the goal, you reworded, which was interesting, because it was pretty broad to begin with.
Successful year, and then it was feel confident.
Yeah, that's kind of what I pointed out when we were chatting, is that I felt like usually the year, I know it's going to be a successful year overall, but having that confidence to go into it, that word, that confidence was key for me in this situation. I was like, I want to feel confident now going into the year that it's going to turn out okay. Knowing, like the first goal, I felt like, yeah, I know that's going to happen. It was just that word confidence was the key for me.
So you're really looking for that goal that they sign off on, right? Because if the first one was broad, it was reasonable, it had all the right characteristics, it just wasn't resonating for Juliet. And so again, it's okay. You try one, and if you don't get that sign off, you try another. And in fact, we're going to watch a video in a moment, a video that you've already seen, and you're going to watch it again, knowing what you now know, and you're going to see a couple of attempts at the goal, looking for that sign off. Any other questions or comments for Tina or Julia?
I think I just want to kind of comment on what Meg said too, just that when Tina hit the word that I couldn't find, like that word stress for me, I didn't think about it. I thought of all these other words that may have encapsulated that, but not the word stress. And when she said it, like you said, like my body language, I was like, yeah, that's it. And I personally felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. I was like, oh, I don't have to think about that word anymore. There it is.
It was visibly obvious. Interesting.
And it was quick, wasn't it? The pace is really quick. And so just think about that when you're watching the Beamers and you're really listening, what you can offer to a coachee in a short amount of time by helping them pacing that way. Thank you, Juliet.
So you watched the video of Jane and Monica on day 6. We're not going to watch the whole video again. We're going to watch the pace, and that's it. And we'll probably watch it twice, not the whole thing. Notice the difference. So she's going to hit the emotion and the content the first time. So just notice what the emotion and the content is, what she got, and then what the goal is. And so I don't know if you want to, I have a horrible memory, so I would have to jot it down. So you might just want to jot it down. It's going to take her 3 tries to get the goal. And And the difference between 2 and 3 is so subtle. Watch Monica's beamers to see, how did Jane know with that second one that Monica was not signing off? And then how did she know with the third one that she did? Of course, played right away earlier. Love technology. One of these is gonna work. Calls that.
So Monica, what's going on? Well, I'm working right now for a grant, and that grant is going to be up in about a year. Actually, a year from now. So there's the issue of continuing the work of the grant and maintaining the integrity of that work. And at the same time, being very conscious and looking at what will be coming down the road for me personally in terms of my work and my career. So when I first started this position, it was the idea of it'll come, you know, when that time comes, something will present itself, and the time's getting closer and too many things are presenting themselves.
Oh.
And so it's making things a lot more difficult and stressful. So I keep thinking, oh, I'll just wait till later, and then I'll see what options are on the table at that time. But the more I do that, the more options come up on the table. So I'm not sure. This is the first time that I work for a grant. I don't know how the transitions work. And so I really don't know what the wise thing is to do.
So you've got a lot going on and are somewhat conflicted about parts of next year that are known, that is the final year of the grant, but parts of next year that are unknown, which has to do with what am I going to be doing the year after next.
That's true, that's actually, yeah, that's it.
And what you want is to be clear about the work you'll be doing after the grant ends.
I do want to be clear, and at this point I could say if I go in this direction, I know what I would do, but there's so many options right now
Okay.
that I want to be informed and cautious of that before I make a decision.
Okay.
I know that after I make a decision, I'll know what I would be doing, but I don't want to look back in retrospect and say, oh, I should have taken this other option instead after the grant.
So what you want is to feel prepared to make a good decision.
Yes, yeah. I want to make sure that the decision I make is the right one for me.
Okay. So you want to feel confident that the decision you make is the best one.
Mhm.
for you. And you're looking for a way to make that happen.
Yes.
So talk with your table groups, what did you notice? Motion content, and then she gave 3 different goals. What did you notice about the 3 different goals?